Kansas City real estate market is anything but normal right now. The big question is whether or not that real estate market crash is actually behind us. So in this video, we're going to break down the 3 strongest trends right now in July 2023. And at the end of the video, we'll answer the question of whether or not we can put that real estate market crash in the past. Trend number 1 is that the bidding wars are escalating. They haven't gone away despite all of the news that we've heard, and maybe they're not as severe as they were the last couple of years, but they're definitely still happening. And that's all despite mortgage rates doing this over that timeline. It seems like people have just accepted this as the new normal and proceeded on, and accelerating all of this is the housing shortage and just skyrocketing demand. So in the month of June, we finally have all the data back from homes that closed during that month. It marked the 6th consecutive month of increases of people paying more and more and more over the asking price. Now, month to month is a good way to visualize this, but I think one that's even better is by city. So here's what that looks like. Hopefully on that list, you'll find a city that you're interested in, but you've got Mission, Kansas leading the pack at 107% of the asking price received, which, to put this in perspective, if someone asked $300,000 for a house there, most likely this data is telling us that it would sell for $321,000. $21,000 over the asking price. Now, of course, that's an outlier. It's definitely extreme. In reality, most homes are going anywhere from $5 to maybe $10 to maybe $15,000 over the asking price, but that's still a good amount of money, especially again when mortgage rates are as high as they are. Trend number 2 is that the clock is ticking. From the moment the best listings hit the market to when they sell, you've got a very limited amount of time to vet them, decide how much they're worth to you, and actually go ahead and write your offer. The Kansas City Association of Realtors always releases this chart every single month, and it's basically an average of the entire Kansas City metro area. You can see days on market shows about 30, but that could not be further from the truth. See, the most insidious trends hide behind averages. The averages always include those outliers that are always pushing them up, the homes that have been on the market for months and months and months that are clearly overpriced, or that include new construction homes that are still being constructed and can't even be moved into. So that's what's pushing up the average right there. In fact, if you look at the median, here's what it looks like. And you can see we've broken it down by city. Again, you've got Kansas City at the highest, 4 days to sell for most of the best listings. Again, this excludes the outliers, which means it's a little bit more accurate and shows a true picture of what's actually happening right now. You can see in popular places like in Overland Park, you've got pretty much 2 days for some of the most popular suburbs in the Johnson County area. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's great. A lot of the listings, yeah, you're probably right, are going in 2 days, but what about the ones that aren't? With those properties, you want to apply what's called the weekend test. See, most of these homes that do sell in 2 days get listed on a Thursday or a Friday. That's when everybody gets the notification on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, etc. And they're under contract by Saturday evening, Sunday morning, or at the latest, usually Monday morning. So if you start looking for properties on Monday morning or Tuesday morning, those properties should be on the market a little bit longer. If they did survive the weekend, there's something off. There's something off about the price, the location, the condition inside. And usually those properties are going to offer you a little bit more time to shop around. There's less of a chance that they'll go over the asking price, and those can often be some of the best deals in this market. Before we get on to part number 3, this real estate market is anything but normal. It's a lot of craziness, and if you're just tired of it, ready for everything to return to normal, let me know by hitting that like button below, and also I'd invite you to subscribe for these weekly real estate market updates. Part number 3, prices are defying all odds. Take a look at the chart. This is the data from June. It shows that prices are up about 4.5% over the last year. But we've already gone through why the averages don't make sense. So let's instead look at this article from Business Insider, which says that last month prices almost hit the highest point ever on record. They say that that's happening because of 2 reasons. One is that despite the mortgage rates doing this over the last year, kind of like we talked about, people have accepted that as the new normal. They want a house no matter what the mortgage rates look like. High rates are working in tandem with number 2, which is the housing supply shortage. Most experts right now are predicting that rates have to get to like 5.5% before we see inventory recover, before we see more homes available on the market, and for the housing shortage to actually improve in a meaningful way. It's a long time until we get there. I'd refer you to last week's video where we break down the mortgage rate predictions for 2024 and 2025. It'll give you the exact timeline in which we'll likely head that way. Now, all that set aside, to put everything into perspective, home prices on average in the Kansas City area increase between 3 and 4% every single year. And this year does not seem to be any exception, unlike last year. So let's take a look at these two graphs from Zillow. This shows the typical home value, which is not the median sales price. It's not the median close price. They're looking at basically all transactions and then inputting that data into their algorithm. Is it the most accurate thing ever? Absolutely not, but it's a good general ballpark of where things are, because the Zestimate is getting surprisingly more and more accurate every single year. So this is the past year. You've got Johnson County on the top. You've got Kansas City, Missouri on the bottom. You can see we've got these hockey stick shaped rebounds happening. We had a little bit of a decline earlier this year, but all of that again is kind of subsiding, and we've got these huge snapshot rebounds that are currently underway, and that'll only intensify, especially given what we just talked about, which is mortgage rates. As soon as they fall, those home prices are going to shoot up. It's a big teeter-totter effect. We should anticipate this to continue. So those are the three trends. We've got bidding wars that are escalating. The clock is ticking. As soon as listings hit the market, you got 2 days until they're selling, and finally prices continue spiraling, and it looks like they're only going to continue increasing. So it leads us to the question of, is the housing market crash, at least right here in Kansas City, can we officially say that it's over? Well, this article from the Washington Post argues that it is in fact over, but there are a couple problems with it. So they start by saying that's the growing message from home builders, real estate agents, economists who say that last year's housing market recession, which many feared would linger as the Federal Reserve fought to raise interest rates, has already turned around. They go on to say that supply chains are easing up, boosting builder confidence, helping construction crews finish homes quicker. Higher rates are cooling demand, but not zapping it altogether. I'd agree with a lot of that stuff. There's nothing wrong in that, but here's where it really takes a turn. They say now that the frenzied bidding wars of the pandemic era are over, there are homes available at any given time, which gives buyers some options. Prices are slowly stabilizing, and another shift away from the pandemic's warped market. Now that's where I would disagree with them. The bidding wars, they're far from over. They're still happening, depends on the city, but they're definitely still happening. Number two, there are not plenty of homes on the market. You do not always have an option because, like we said, the clock is ticking. These homes are mostly selling in 2 days or less. The homes that they're talking about are homes that either are way overpriced, need significant amount of repairs, or that are under construction and have about a year timeline between when they're actually move-in ready. And then the last argument to dissect there is that prices are stabilizing, which they're not. Again, those Zillow graphs that we brought back up, again, not the most credible thing, but they're in the ballpark. We've got a hockey stick rebound there. They're not just stabilizing, they're skyrocketing. And it looks like, especially with mortgage rates cooling even more, that's only slated to continue. Now, the final part of that article actually agrees with the premise that everything hangs in the balance of mortgage rates and what happens with them. They say it all depends on how much harder the Fed pushes to slow the economy. Inflation's eased significantly, but it's still not as low as officials would like. The Fed signaled 2 more hikes were coming by the end of the year. But the big question now is, will they follow through? If they do, it threatens to push up mortgage rates even higher, at a point where people have kind of accepted them as normal for now. But how long is that going to last? At what point do they breach that trust and people decide, you know what, we're going to hang the gloves up. We're going to come back once they finally decrease. Now, luckily enough, we'll have the answer to that question next week, because next Wednesday is when the Federal Reserve meets and actually decides what they're going to do with interest rates. And as a result, we'll know the exact impact on mortgage rates. So to see what happens next, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because we're going to come back next week and divulge all of that information to keep you on your toes in this topsy-turvy Kansas City housing market. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one.